Hi, everybody. It's Mrs. Dunn. We're talking about installment buying today. Specifically, we're going to be talking about fixed installments in this screencast. So, what I want you to learn specifically from this screencast is how to solve problems involving fixed installment loans. I want you to be able to calculate the monthly payment of a fixed installment loan. I want you to be able to calculate the finance charge on an installment loan. And I want you to be able to calculate the interest saved by paying a loan off early. It's a lot of information. Hold on to your seat. Let's get started. So, what exactly is a fixed installment loan? Those are those loans you take out to buy a car, to buy a truck, maybe to purchase a phone. Now you want that new iPhone X. You're going to have to use you have to take out a loan to pay for that expensive phone, or a computer, a cell phone, a television, all kinds of things. So we're talking about fixed installment loans, though. And by definition, that means that you are paying a fixed amount of money for a fixed number of payments. Okay? So, for example, if you take out a car loan, maybe you agree to pay it back in 5 years. So that means you're making monthly payments for 5 years. So let's look at a specific example. So Danny purchases a new cell phone that costs $995, and Best Buy is offering no money down and 4.5% APR for 24 months. We have to determine or calculate, the finance charge that Danny is going to pay, and we're going to determine Danny's monthly payment. So we're going to first have to do that finance charge, and we're going to be using a chart from your book for that. The key information that you need to get from the question is what the APR is, which is 4.5%, and the length of time of the loan, which is 24 months. Excuse me. This chart can be found in your book. I forget the page number, but the table is 10.2. So you can find that in your book. There are a couple numbers circled, but this is the number that I circled and is pertinent to our question. If you remember, Danny took out a loan at 4.5% interest for 24 months. So 475 is the value we need from this table. And what does this 4.75 mean? Well, that's the amount of money that he has to pay for every $100 that he borrows. So for every $100 financed, Danny, the consumer, will pay $475 in interest. So he borrowed $995. That's $9.95 Okay, so I'm dividing the amount he borrowed by 100 to get the amount of hundreds that he borrowed. So 995, and remember from the chart, that value from the chart is he owes 475 for every $100 he borrows. So when you multiply those two numbers together, you get $47.26. And those are his finance charges. Okay, so when he pays off the loan 24 months from now, he owes $995 plus the $47.26 that he's being charged to borrow the money. So that total amount is called the total installment price. It's the amount borrowed plus the interest or the finance charge. So that total installment price is $1,042.26. We're dividing that number by 24 to find the amount of the monthly payment. So the monthly payment is $43.43. Okay, so that's how you find the monthly payment. First, you find the finance charge, you add it to the amount borrowed, divide by the length of time or the number of payments, and that gives you the monthly payments. All right, let's look at another question. Here we're going to be determining the APR of a fixed installment loan. So Danny bought a truck for $25,000. He makes a $5,000 down payment and finances the balance through his bank. The car dealership informs him that his monthly payments will be $410.33 for 60 months. What we need to do is first determine the finance charge and then determine the APR. To determine the finance charge, we want to know how much he is paying altogether. So we take those monthly payments and multiply by how many there are. So 410.33 times 60 is $24,619.80. Now, how much did he finance? He actually financed $20,000, not this $25,000. A lot of students will make that mistake of using $25,000 here, but it's not $25,000. He actually borrowed $20,000 because remember, he put a $5,000 down payment on this truck. So the finance charges, to calculate those, we're going to take the amount that he pays after he makes every one of his payments and subtract the amount he borrowed. So the finance charges, the cost of borrowing the money, is $4,619.80. Notice the amount you're borrowing, the more the amount you're borrowing, way more amount you're being charged, right? So that's the finance charge. Okay, let's look at the second part of this question. Determine the APR. You're going to want to write down this formula. So the APR is determined by finding that value in the table. And to calculate that value, how much money was charged per $100, we're working backwards. We're going to take the finance charge divided by the amount financed, which in this case is $4,619.80 divided by the amount financed, $20,000. You multiply that by 100, and $23.10 is the amount that Danny is paying for every $100 he borrowed. So we're working backwards to that chart. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look in that chart for $23.10, but we're looking for that in that row of 60 payments. Remember, he's making 60 payments. So the interest rate is 8.5%. That's his APR. Okay. Well, by the way, I wanted to show you just how to do this in your calculator. When you're doing this in your calculator, you're doing 4619.80, and you're dividing that by the amount borrowed, which is $20,000. Make sure you get that answer before you multiply by 100. If you do it in the wrong order, you might get the wrong answer. But anyway, that's where that number came from, 2310. Okay, another question. Danny bought a truck for $25,000. He makes a $5,000 down payment. Oops, sorry, this is just repeating this. And he financed the balance through his bank. So this is just showing you the answer that the APR is 8.5% interest. Sorry, I was thinking ahead. All right, the next problem we have to do is, all right, we talked about Danny borrowing $20,000 for a new truck. He's agreeing to pay the loan back, this time in 48 installments at an APR of 5.5%. Okay, new problem, new scenario. He's just borrowing the same amount of money. All right, now what happens here though is instead of making that 18th payment, Danny's going to pay the loan off. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the actuarial method to determine how much money Danny will save by repaying the loan early. And we're going to find out what's the total amount due to pay off the loan. This is going to take a little bit of time here. So the first thing we need to do is use this actuarial method. But to use the actuarial method, we're going to need to know what his monthly payment is, because that's not listed here in this problem. So we're going to have to determine what his monthly payment is. Now, remember, we have to find that number from the chart. He is borrowing $200 in, that's the amount of his loan. So we have to look in the chart to find the amount that he is paying in interest per $100 he borrows. Okay, so I wanted to show you where that number comes from, 1163. Remember, he's agreeing to pay this off in 48 payments at 5.5% interest. So from the chart, that's that number, 1163. So, sorry, let me go back here for a minute. So we're taking 200 times the 1163, the amount he is paying per $100 that he borrowed, and the amount that he is going to pay in finance charges is $2,326. So to figure out what his monthly payment is, we take that amount of money plus the amount he borrowed, so that's $22,326, and we're dividing that by the 48 payments he's going to make for a total of $465.13. Okay, so let me just wrap that up because I stumbled through that a bit. So first we calculated from the table how much he owes per $100 he borrowed. And we figured out what the finance charge was, which was $2,326. And we added that to the amount he borrowed and divided by the number of payments, which is 48, to figure out what his monthly payment was. We did this earlier in the screencast. So his monthly payment is $465.13. Okay. Now, here's the actuarial method. So the actuarial method as a way of calculating what the unearned interest is, the amount that you don't owe because you're paying the money off early. In this formula, we are actually finding U, the unpaid interest. N is the number of remaining monthly payments. That's important to remember. It's the remaining payments. P is the monthly payment. Don't confuse that with principal. V is that number we get from the APR table, and it corresponds to the annual percentage rate for the remaining payments. Okay, so here's how it gets used. So here's the actuarial method. In our problem, if Danny is paying off the loan at the 18th payment, he has 30 payments left. 48 minus 18 is 30. He owes $465.13 for each one of those payments. Now notice this number is 726. So look at the chart how we got this number 726. Now remember, we're staying in this 5.5% interest, but he has 30 payments left. So that's what the V is in the formula, 7.26. That's where that comes from. So when we put this in the calculator, you have to be super careful, guys, when you type this in. So it's 30 times 465.13 times 726, 7.26, I should say. You got to be really careful. Get that answer before you divide it by, and I would add these together. I wouldn't type that as 100 plus. I would put 107.26 to avoid any confusion in your calculator. And that will give you the answer of 944.48. Another way you can do it is using parentheses. So put what's in the top in parentheses, 30 times 465.13 times 726. And then put what's in the bottom in parentheses. You got to be really, really careful because if you type it in incorrectly, you're going to get the wrong answer. So parentheses will work as well. So I just wanted to model that. Be careful when you're doing this on your calculator. So anyway, look at how much money Danny saved. Danny saved almost $1,000 by paying that loan off early. He saved $944.48. Okay, the next question is, what's the total amount due to pay off the loan? Now, you got to remember from the previous part of this question that he has 30 payments left at $465.13, right? And don't forget that he doesn't owe $944.48. Okay, so if he has 30 payments left at $465.13, how much would he be paying? Well, we're going to multiply those together, the 30 payments times the amount of the payment, and he has $13,953.90 left to pay. But wait a minute. Remember, he doesn't owe this. So how much does he really owe? Well, you're going to subtract that amount from what he has left to pay. And so his balance due is $13,009.42. But wait a minute. This is all happening at that 18th payment. He didn't make the 18th payment. So he has this amount plus that 18th payment. So another $465.13. And the total amount due is $13,474.55. Okay, I know that's a tough question. You're going to want to pause this video. You're going to want to go through it step by step. I suggest sitting next to your computer with this video next to you. Go through the questions that are in your homework so that you get these questions right. This question specifically is the one that causes students the most difficulty. So take your time with it. Good luck, guys. Email me if you have any questions.